We live in a world of software. So what tax software is good? I'm thinking client portals. Anything to help you with taxes, obviously Excel, formulas. So what software you use and how you actually deliver the work. Walk us through it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, all that's great, right? Like we've talked about kind of everything, overcoming the fears, making sure that what you deliver is what people want. But now you actually have to do the work. Yeah, you're not just marketing at some big company, right? You are everything when you launch your own firm. Your compliance, your marketing, and you got to do the work. And so kind of this part right here, like you said, the software. And so this is kind of like the minimal what you could do. And I think you could run a multi six figure. I think you could get easily to 200,000 on just these things I'm going to give you right now. And the very first thing, if you're doing tax work, is you need something to prepare taxes in. And so there's a ton of them out there. I started out with Drake. I think for the value you get, the price that it costs and the value you get, Drake is a solid option. You're going to find people who talk about Drake doesn't do complex this or that, blah, blah, blah. But, I never ran into an issue, and I wasn't doing high complexity. I would assume that if you're starting out on your own, most of you aren't doing high complexity work. Drake is going to be sufficient, and the cost is good, and you download it on your own computer. I use UltraTax now. I like the workflow better. It does cost more, but just find something, right, that works for you in your budget and is kind of one of the main ones people know and you can trust. Like I wouldn't go get some random thing no one's using, but something by an Intuit like ProConnect, they're going to be reliable. Drake, UltraTax, CCH, Access, those are all going to be reliable pieces of software. And then email, right? I just set up a business Gmail suite, right? You connect your domain to it so that you can be brad@wootencpa.com instead of bradwooten@gmail.com. I mean, you want to look professional, and for $12 a month or something, you can get the Gmail business suite, get your email connected.
Not only that, if you do use like Brad Wooten at Gmail, it can sometimes flag as spam to people reaching out to, whereas that domain name, it's more likely to hit their inbox. Like worst case in my life would be like, hey Brad, here's some feedback on the video you did, here's how I can help, and it goes to spam and you never see it.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
right?
Never
Nightmare.
see it, right?
Complete
yeah,
nightmare.
That's huge. And having a website. I mean, I think we'll get to that one in a minute. But then like signatures, right? I mean, in tax world, we have to have e-signatures. They have to be compliant for the actual tax return. You have to use KBA, knowledge-based authentication. Clients hate it, but you have to use it. It's an IRS requirement. So you need something like that. I started out with DocuSign. I started out basically with a bunch of pieced together things, but now I highly recommend TaxDome. So TaxDome is going to take place of a lot of things. It's going to take the place of a DocuSign and your portal. You can actually connect a calendar booking app to it as well. You can take notes there, and like I said, document storage. But I use that. It's project management too, so it's got pipelines. So I know exactly in the tax prep process where each job is in the pipeline. And so I do. I mean, there's other ones. There's Carbon. There's Firm 360. They probably all are very similar. I just happen to have picked TaxDome, and I use it. But you need the tax software. You need your project management, your e-signature, your document storage, your client communication. There's a chat message feature in there, a place to take notes. So all of that can be in one spot, TaxDome or Firm 360 or something like that. I do recommend a calendar app too. Instead of this, instead of picking up the phone every time it rings or, back and forth. Hey, Will, does Thursday at 3 work with you? No, that doesn't work with me. Does Friday at 4 work with you? No, that doesn't work with me. Just pay $12 a month or something and get Calendly. So that's what I use.
Calendly's free. Is also a free version.
You can also get a free version.
Yeah.
If you want to remove their branding and put your branding up there, it's like $10 a month or something. But yeah, you can use it for free. I mean, I started out with a Pointlet and then ended up wanting a little bit more kind of customization that they may have now too, but that's why I switched over to Calendly. But yeah, it saves you so much time. And if your first call to action is book a discovery call with me, hey, they can book it right there and click right through it too. And then QuickBooks Online, I mean, whatever you want to use Xero, you want to use Wave app, QuickBooks Online you get for free as an accountant. So you just get the accountant version and then you can use it for yourself for free. So it's a huge benefit that we have that other firms don't, other businesses don't. We don't have to pay $60 a month for QuickBooks, but you can send your invoices through there. You obviously keep track of your income and expenses. I think most accountants are going to understand that piece without too much detail. Website. I personally believe you need a website. I think that it's the first place people go to now to verify your credibility. Like, hey, you've got a tax firm, but you don't have a website. I don't believe you. Like, I don't know who you are. I don't know where you're at. Why don't you have a website? And it can be it can be one page. Follow the StoryBrand framework. It does not have to be complicated. I use Wix. Again, it's cheap, and you can pay even like 3 years at a time if you want to get even cheaper. But set up a one-page website just to give them a place to find out a little bit more about you and solidify in their mind, this is a legitimate business. It's 2025. If you don't have a website, are you a legitimate business? I don't know. And then I do recommend like a survey tool also. Again, I now use this to pre-qualify clients because I don't take on every single type of client, and you're never going to either. But in the early days, you have plenty of time to hop on a phone call and kind of see if it's a good fit. As you start to pick up more clients, you need to do that without being on a phone call with people. And so I use, you use Google Forms for this. I used that for a couple of years. Now I use Typeform, and it's much more customized logic where, if they answer this question, they get kicked out, and it kind of has that conditional logic. And then of course, you need a research tool. I use a couple. But the one that I would recommend if you're only going to get one would be Parker Tax Library. They've got great analysis, and it's like $400 a year for what you get. It's a no-brainer. And so you get template client emails and newsletters. You get the tax code and the regulations and all that stuff, but you get their expert commentary too. And so for research, for $400, I mean, that's the one that I would recommend. There's a bunch of other good ones out there too, if you want to add some more on. But you also need E&O insurance. So you've probably thought about this already, but make sure you have errors and omissions insurance. You're going to make a mistake on a tax return, and most of the mistakes you're going to make are a client conversation like, oh man, I'm sorry, I'll fix that for you. I'll amend the return, and you move on. Or maybe you offer to cover like, well, there's a little bit of penalties and interest there. I'll cover that for you. But you want to have errors and omissions insurance for catastrophic type of stuff, right? Same reason why you have health insurance. You don't want to go bankrupt because you made a mistake. And so you get your errors and omissions insurance. You get mine through the AICPA. If you're an enrolled agent, you got to go somewhere else because you got to be a CPA to be a member of the AICPA. But you'll be able to find that through some insurance company that writes business insurance. But with those things, right? So what do we got? We've got your tax software, your project management, which is kind of everything. Document storage, you can do invoicing through there, client communication, all of that. Your calendar app, QBO, website, survey tool, a research tool, your E&O insurance. With all of that, you could run a 200,000 plus tax firm, and those things are less than $5,000 a year in expenses. Now you're going to quickly start adding other stuff. So by no means is that what my operating overhead is, because you're going to start to make more and add more and things like that. But you can definitely get to $100,000 on that. You could get to 200,000. You could go beyond that, honestly, on those things if you really wanted to. But that's really like all it takes to run a tax firm.